I can share the link.
Big Cat's in here, Secton is roasted. So we've got
Yeah, look, we'll start the lesson straight away.
Yeah.
We'll give people a little bit to join. But hi everyone, welcome to the live stream. It's the second NavCoin live stream, and today we're talking about cold staking. No, that was last week. This week we're talking about static block rewards, that's right. But we're just going to wait a little bit to see if anyone else joins in. Don't want to, have people miss out on some valuable information at the beginning. So, how was the live stream? Can everyone in the chat hear me and everything sounds good? The audio is okay?
great.
Awesome. Perfect.
Got some thumbs up.
Taking my tea bag out this time. Just a big criticism of the last one. And yeah, we've got all of our stuff sorted out now. I think we've got hooked up to some fiber LAN now and nice mic. So hopefully it's all sounding and looking good. I'm going to stream in high quality without dropping out. So. All right, how many people we got?
10.
10?
10.
Should we just kick it off?
Yeah.
What's the time?
8:31.
We have one more minute. One more minute for the stragglers that have got their clocks wrong.
Tell us the story, Craig.
Whoever's late needs to do the clock sync fix on their life. Tell us the story now. This is not a stand-up comedy channel. It's not happening. Cool.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well, I think we'll just get started. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So if you haven't been to one of these before, this is the NavCoin live stream education series. This is the second one we've run, and we're here just to talk about some of the features that are coming up for NavCoin in our roadmap and how they technically work. But also, I just dropped my pen. But also, this is live, so there's going to be problems. But also, we're hoping to just sort of educate people around blockchain and try and make this a bit more generic, I guess, so that, it's relevant to people sort of wider than just the NavCoin community, but it is focused on tech that we're building. So, some of the things that we've got coming up on our roadmap. Last time we talked about cold staking, and I'm going to run through that really quickly here for anyone that missed that, but you'll be able to watch that in a link that we post above, below, somewhere, wherever it ends up. So today we're talking about changing the block reward from coinage-based percentage calculation to a static block reward and the benefits that it has in a proof-of-stake network in general and why we want to apply it to the NavCoin network, basically. So quick recap on last week, cold staking. Just so that, if I can spell it right, I hope there's no no E. So cold staking, all we're talking about there, you can go watch the video if you want, but effectively any coins will now be associated with 2 addresses. And of course that means you have 2 private and public key pairs. You have one for spending and one that can stake. So the idea is that you generate these 2 addresses in separate wallets. You keep this one in cold storage, in a paper wallet, or hopefully we can get a ledger integration or anything like that, or just a secure computer that's offline. And then this key pair, you can put it on your NavPi or your NavMate or wherever. And this one's connected to the internet, so it's the one that's potentially more vulnerable to hackers and has to stay online all the time. So making sure that your device which is staking, if someone does manage to compromise that device, they can't spend any of your coins, right? Because the only action that this key can perform is staking. Your spending key is safely away off your hot wallet. So that's the whole point of this, basically. It does have the potential to do some cool things as well, like you could have your spending key on NavPay or your laptop somewhere, and your staking device is, at home, and sometimes it's not accessible to you. But you could technically spend your staking rewards, on the go, while your staking machine sits there doing its kind of static job of securing the network. That's called staking in a nutshell. If you want to know more about it, go back to the previous lesson, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to roll straight into the static block rewards stuff, right? So, firstly, I guess it's just important to understand how staking works. We went through a bit of this in last time when we explained the difference in structure between a staking transaction and a spending transaction, but we'll kind of quickly go through it again. So we've got some coins that are sitting in address A. Let's say it's 1,000 NAV. In the block, when I'm the person who's creating a block, I'm allowed to make one transaction, which effectively spends the coins back to myself. And I'm also allowed to generate X amount of coins and attach them to this transaction. And for example, if my mining reward was 1 NAV, now the transaction that appears in my wallet will be 1,001, right? So this is pretty much how staking rewards work on the blockchain. You actually spend your coins to yourself, and then you get to generate a small amount and send them to yourself as well. And that's what the consensus rules determine. So everyone else sees that. They see that you're the block creator and you've generated some new coins. That's fine. No one can just sort of normally just generate coins and send them to themselves, obviously. But in this instance, it's allowed by the network rules. So this is a staking transaction. Some of the important things to note here, I guess, is the way that the block rewards are currently calculated is using something called coin age, right? And so coin age is simply today, whatever the timestamp is now, of the block, right? It's probably more accurate to use now. Now minus the date of this transaction, right? Now minus the date, time, the coins were last moved. So in this instance, we go, what's now? I'm not sure what notations you use. We use N for now and T for the time of that transaction. And we go N minus T, and that tells us how old the coins are. And from that, we're able to calculate this percentage-based reward. We calculate how much we're allowed by the network to generate and add to our transaction, right? So the way that it works at the moment is we have 4% reward. So if N minus T was equal to 12 months exactly, then the amount that I can attach here would be 4% of the 1,000, right? So I'd be able to attach, what's that? 40 coins, right? 40 NAV. As X, and I get 1,040. So that's awesome. That's how it's worked out, and it means that whether my coins were last used only 1 month ago, I would only get 1/12 of the 40 NAV. So yeah, if you understand that. So same calculation. If it was one month, it means we get 1 divided by 12 of the 4%, right? Which would be whatever 40 divided by 12 is. And this means that it doesn't matter if I stake once a month or once a week or once a day or once a year, I still end up with the same 4% minus some impact of, compound interest, but it's really minimal, the effect that has. This is the current system, and this is how your rewards are calculated. all based around this coin age factor, right? And the issue with this, I guess, is that I might work some of this out. Yeah. So the issue with this structure is that using coin age means that it's as convenient as it might sound to do what I just said, only have your coin stake once a year. It's actually a bad thing for network security, right? So in that instance, someone could have their coins offline, basically. Then they come online for, like 1 week of the year or something like this. They stake all the coins in their wallet. They get the full 12 months worth of rewards for each of the staking inputs, and then they go offline again. Now that's might sound good because it means that you don't have to, have your computer running 24/7 and all this kind of stuff. But we have to remember what the function of staking is, right? Staking is security. It has a security function, right? So the whole point of staking is not just to create a few blocks once a year, but actually to also help secure the network when you're not the person who's creating blocks. So the coins that you have in staking, that you have online for staking equals to your network weight, right? And in sort of simple terms, it's your vote towards whether a block was valid or not. So if someone else makes a block like this, and they generated a block, even if I'm not the block creator, it's valuable for me to be online because I prevent the network from experiencing 51% attack, essentially, right? I secure the network with my weight. The network weight's equivalent to, like hashing power in Bitcoin speak. So, you could think of it in that kind of term. I don't think Bitcoin would be very secure if everyone just turned their miners on once a year and let everyone else do whatever they wanted to do to the network the rest of the time. So the way that we get security is by having more network weight online all the time, because it makes it harder to manipulate the blockchain through a 51% attack, and also it makes it harder for people to like rewrite blocks and go backwards in time and stuff like that. So it is really important that we have as much network weight online as possible all the time. So right now, if you're staking NavCoin, I really do implore you to remain online all the time. At the moment, there's no financial gain to doing that. You still get your same 4%, but it does help secure the network, which is what we should all be mainly concerned about as participants in this decentralized coin. So this is the main function of staking. It's really to perform a security function for the blockchain to prevent malicious actors from going against the consensus rules. So, and the payment is just basically a way to incentivize that, right? That's what a lot of this blockchain stuff is about. Hi, Paul. Welcome to the show.
I've been watching.
All right, so the reward, as good as it is to earn more NavCoin, really what it is it's an incentive to encourage people to stake and provide weight to the network, which makes it secure, right? So if we think about trying to solve some of these problems, like trying to have as much network weight, online as possible, we have to, if we want to solve that problem, we have to incentivize it, really. And the simplest way to incentivize that is something which was sorted out by Blackcoin in their POSV3 spec. And that's what last lecture and this one has really been about. So cold staking plus static block rewards. is the essence of what POSV3 is about. We're already POSV2 compliant with the clock fix stuff that we previously did. And then with these two upgrades, we'll be compliant with proof of stake version 3. So how does having a static block reward incentivize people to stay online? Well, I guess you got to think of staking as essentially a lottery, right? There's a randomness factor, and you've got a whole bunch of transactions which are in your wallet, which act like tickets to the lottery, and the frequency at which you win is kind of related to how many coins you have in your wallet. But I've got all these tickets to the lottery basically, and when we're all competing to try and find the next block, it's this randomness that's derived from the transactions which are in my wallet, which are like my tickets into the lottery, right? So if I have more coins, I have more tickets to the lottery. But essentially, that's largely how it works. And so what we want to do is, because it's based on randomness, right? You can't know when you're going to stake your next block. Over time, there'll be some sort of even distribution, basically. The longer time frames you look at, the more sort of even your distribution is. If your coins sort of stay the same compared to the weight. But of course, it is random. So sometimes you might find some blocks really close together, and sometimes you might have to wait a while. But effectively, that evens itself out. And you can never really know when you're gonna stake a new block. So that's okay with the coin age model because it doesn't matter how long it is between me staking a block. I will get my percentage reward. But if we have a static reward, in this case, we're talking about, we're proposing that it becomes 2 NAV. If we have a static reward, what it means is that if my lotto ticket is up and I'm supposed to win the block, and I'm not online to create that block, I miss that opportunity, basically. And so this is the main mechanic for how it incentivizes people to stay online. If I'm offline for 6 months and I come online and I'm only online for a week, I only get a week's worth of my random lottery rewards, basically. So by changing to the static reward, it means that people are incentivized to stay online, to make sure that they claim their 2 NAV. And by staying online, we're having network weight, right? Which is securing the network 24/7. And that's really our main goal, especially as NavCoin Core. It's in our manifesto that our priority is to try and make the NavCoin network as secure and robust as possible, basically. So this is one way that it secures the network, and probably the more technical way that having a static reward secures the network. The other way is that it actually increases the rewards that each miner is getting as an individual. So, I'll talk about how the rewards are split up, I guess. At the moment, we're going to just use these sort of round numbers. There's 63 million NAV, but we'll call it just 60 million for ease of the math. And roughly, there's usually somewhere kind of like 30 to 40% of people staking at any one time. I'm just going to call it 50%. Should we? That makes the maths easy. So what this means is that, we've got another latecomer. Hi, Matt, welcome. So what this means is that if 50% of the coins of the network are staking, that means that there's 30 million coins in the network for staking, and that's what's called the entire network's weight, right? It's 30 million. So let's say, for example, I have quite a lot of NAV. I've got like 300K. That means that I've got 1% stake in, is that 1%? Yeah. 1% stake in the network weight, right? So I own 1% of the network weight. And if you know anything about Bitcoin mining, that's basically like, yeah, having 1% of all the hashing power, for example, in terms of network security stuff. So what this means is that I have a 1% chance of finding a block, really. Right? Because the amount of lottery tickets that I have compared to the other people is 1%. So I have 1% statistical chance of finding a block. The distribution is not quite even, but over time, with the randomness, I'll find 1% of the blocks that are minted. And we have 30-second blocks, which is a little bit more than this, but again, I'm just going to approximate. It is about 1 million blocks per year. So if I have 1% of the blocks, that means that I would find, what's that? God, my maths is just shocking. It's 1,000 blocks, right? No, 10,000 blocks. Right, 10,000 blocks per year times 2 NAV equals 20,000 NAV per year, right? So I've got my 300K is what I started with, and I ended up with 320K after 1 year. So what's that as a percentage? Who's got the calculator up?
That's more than 6%.
Yeah. Good. I can't brain today. I didn't get much sleep last night, so we're gonna just roll on everyone's calculators for this stuff. Yeah, cool. So it's 6% per year in this instance, right? My numbers are kind of broad, but we're just running with estimations. 6% a year is what this person would get, and that holds true because it's percentage based in terms of how many tickets I have to the lottery. That number would hold true no matter how big or small my input is, right? If it was 100K, I'd get 6% of 100K because I've got that relative percentage amount of network weight. And same all the way down to smaller numbers, right? If I had 1,000, I'd get 6% of 1,000. So our previous block reward was, as I said, I'm just really drawing all over here. If you're not following the video and you just look at the whiteboard, you're not going to know what's going on. But our previous reward was 4%. And in this example, the reward would be 6%. So this person has actually gained 2% more in terms of staking rewards. Now the numbers are a bit different actually because we have 63 million NAV. I think somewhere around maybe 30% of NAV are staking at the moment. So I'm not going to run through the calculation again, but effectively in our current state, if we switch to 2 NAV per block, the effective reward would be somewhere between sort of 8 to 10%. Without more people bringing coins online, right? So this is at a 50% ratio. It's 6% per year. If this 50% ratio drops and 30%, 40%, or whatever coins are online, then that increases the amount because it's the same amount of coins split between less people, basically, right? Or the other way around. If we go up, then there's the same amount of coins split between more people, more tickets in the lottery. So this way, with this model, your reward is not a fixed percentage per year. So I don't know exactly like how many percent I'll get because it kind of floats, right? Depending on how many people engage. But that leads to some really interesting kind of not sort of raw network dynamics in terms of the security stuff, but like sort of game theory stuff, right? So it's not even really game theory, but it's usually what they call like a seesaw economics. So at the moment, because not many people are staking on the NavCoin network, well, not as many as 50%. Let's say the rewards are 10%. At the moment, at something like a 25% participation rate. Other people who do proof of stake mining, they might see, oh, this reward is a higher percentage than another coin that I'm mining. So I'm going to join onto NavCoin's network and I'm going to be incentivized to come here and start staking, right? And let's say this is coin A and this is coin B, because the other coin, let's say it has that 6% reward with whatever participation rate, right? So some people might leave from here and start staking this coin. Sorry, other way around. They'll go, oh, the reward at B is better, so the reward at A is better, so I'm gonna go from B to A, and then this number will come down because there'll be more people participating, and then some people will go back to that coin because now that coin's staking's a better return for them, or whatever, right? And what it can do is mean that these two systems will sort of stable up, and what you'll find is that this number will probably come down, and we might end up somewhere around this kind of 6% mark. 6 to 7% is probably what I would project for a staking reward. Not like we're trying to steal people away from other coins, and these people could actually be new users as well. It could just incentivize more people who have NavCoin to start staking, right? But effectively, this is how sort of seesaw economics work, and more people join until it becomes not worth their time, and then some people leave, and then it becomes worth it again, and then it kind of goes backward and forward elastically until it finds a happy sort of medium. So in that way, having this higher reward per person at the beginning is a way of securing the network as well, because it attracts more people to join the NavCoin network and start staking, which increases network security. So now that we sort of understand how staking transactions work and the point of all this, I guess the other thing to sort of understand is the inflation rate. Because I just want to make it clear that because per person it's 10%, that doesn't mean that NavCoin is going to have a 10% inflation rate, or that NavCoin's inflation rate is floating or anything like this when the rewards change. Effectively, at the moment, we have 4% coinage-based rewards, right? So what that means is, let's say we have that 50% participation rate. And we also have the community fund, which I'm just going to ignore for the moment. But for staking rewards, at least, this means that we only actually generate about 2% new supply per year, right? Because each individual is capped at 4, and only half of the coins are used for staking. So our annual inflation is 2%. In the new model, it's a static number. So it's this roughly, we've got 1 million blocks per year, roughly. So that means we have 2 million NAV per annum generated, roughly. So whatever 2 divided by 63 million is, it's like 4.1% or something like this. Can't quite remember. No, actually, it's less than that. And then when we add in the community fund, it's a little bit more. So I think it's something like 3.6% from memory. So then we've got plus CF reward, right? which at the moment is roughly, well, it's 0.25 NAV per block, so times a million, it's roughly 250K. So this would be 2.25, and this would be whatever it is. But, it's still really low in terms of inflation rates. This model with 250K NAV ends up being something like 4.1, I think is what I was talking about before. So still really low. So the things to sort of consider when we're talking about this, I guess, is partly what I said before. We need to compare to other opportunities that people have in this world when it comes to mining cryptocurrencies. So one of the things is that within this model, it is less rewards than pretty much every other proof of stake coin that's out there. And moving to this model puts us in line with sort of the rewards of other coins. So it evens the playing field in that regard and should attract more people to mine NavCoin and secure the network. And the other side of that is looking at this rate, right? How high is that? Is that an acceptable level of annual inflation? And from comparing all of the other coins that I looked at, that's still on the low side compared to other coins. So I think we're achieving all of our goals by implementing this basically. We still retain low inflation, especially comparative to other coins. And we managed to increase the mining rewards per person, which attracts more people to the network. We also make people stay online all the time, mining blocks, but also providing their network weight to secure the network. It feels like a really good solution to me. So thanks to Blackcoin for thinking about that and publishing it in a paper. I reckon that it is definitely a good solution and does fix a whole bunch of problems. So this is kind of like all the benefits. What else? There were some concerns, I guess, raised by community members around how this would affect smaller balances, and would big balances just dominate the network weight and basically run away with rewards and inflate at such a rate that no one else could sort of find a block. And I run some basic models. You can find it in a Reddit thread, which we'll probably link to in the comment section of this video. But effectively, from my basic modeling, the answer is no, everyone should still stake the sort of same amount. That model doesn't take into account what happens when there's like an orphan situation, when finding a block and stuff like that. But we've got this all coded up and we can test it on the testnet basically and make sure that those edge cases don't happen and everyone's still sort of evenly rewarded. So we do believe that, of course, the people with more coins are going to get more NAV, but that's how it is now anyway, right? That's just how proof of stake works. But it's always going to be relative percentage-wise. So whatever you put in, you get the same percent out as any other person on the network. So it's fair in that regard. I'm not sure. Are there any other concerns? I guess.
Do you want to talk about 80/20?
About what?
80/20s on the community fund.
So I guess so. Should we chuck that in here as well? So one of the other proposals that we have. So if you've read my article on Medium about stuff, we're bundling the proof of stake and what am I talking about? Cold staking and the static reward into one version. And it's actually not our version coming out next. It's actually the version after that. That's version 4.5.
Yeah.
Is it?
I think it's 4.5. Yeah.
Yeah, because the next one's 4.4, right? Yeah. Yeah. So NavCoin Core 4.5 will be this proof of stake v3 upgrade with these two changes in it. And then the next upgrade that we're looking to do is around the community fund, obviously. We're coming really close to launching that. And we've we've got a few consensus changes that we're proposing in there. And one of them is, the main one is obviously adding the withdrawal method for the claims mechanism for the community fund. And then we've got a technical update which groups the community fund contributions together so that it takes up less space on the blockchain. And the last one that we're wanting to put in there is increasing the community fund contribution from 0.25 NAV to 0.5 NAV. Is it?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one thing which we are proposing as well, and because it's actually a little bit more to do. It's more to do with changing to a static block reward and increasing that to 2 NAV than it is to do with releasing the community fund. But we thought that it would make sense for all of those things that are to do with the community fund into one release. And they are soft forks, of course, so everyone can vote on them and whether you agree or not. But the point is that changing this, one thing it does is that it means that there's more NAV in the community fund, right? Which is a good thing, because it can fund more projects and more awesome stuff can be built, which is what we all want to see for NavCoin, right? The other thing is that it does align apart. We're not just suggesting to arbitrarily increase it, really. What we're trying to stick with our original ethos of how it was proposed when it was originally voted, right? So I'm gonna. Do I want this stuff? No, actually, I do want those numbers. So when we originally suggested reducing from 5% to 4% and adding 0.25 to the community fund, when we calculated it against the network weight, the amount of people who were staking and the total inflation rate, it was roughly equal to 1%. The 1% that we knocked off the staking rewards. I'll go. We've got a dog. Sid, you're not allowed in here, mate. Come on. He's skinny. Open the door by himself and everything. Yeah, so this is the ethos that we launched the community fund 0.25% with, and that passed on the network in flying colors. So when we think about that, that is roughly sort of right. So that would make this about 2.5% inflation per year, I guess, and we've got this 80-20 ratio with mining rewards to community fund. So when we change to a static block reward, we're going to have 2 NAV per block. So if we only had 0.25 NAV per block to the community fund, that throws out that ratio basically and makes it like a 90-10 ratio or something like this, right? It halves it basically. So what we're suggesting is to increase the community fund to 0.5 NAV, and then that means it retains this 80-20 ratio as originally intended. So yeah, and that means we get 2.5 NAV per block mined, which means if we have roughly a million blocks per year, is 2.5 million generated each year. And as a percentage of 63 million coins, it's still only like 4.3% or something like this, right? So the amount that it actually affects the total inflation is obviously really tiny. And any increase in inflation for the network as a whole is effectively compensated for the individual by having increased mining rewards, right? So doubling the community fund to 0.5 NAV alongside switching to a static block reward actually puts miners in a better position in terms of the percentage of rewards that they get, but actually even when you compare the rewards that they get compared to total inflation, they'll actually be better off as well. So, well, than they currently are. So it's not, it's something that we think makes sense, and we're proposing to bundle that with the community fund release. Of course, the soft forks are voted on, they get voted on for like a year, so it will still probably be around when we change this, and maybe it will make more sense to vote on it together when we make the block reward change. But everyone can vote on these proposals individually. Is that it? I feel like there was something else I wanted to talk about. No, I think that's it, basically. Anything else? Any questions from the room, first of all?
None from me, but we've got a few on the channel.
Yep.
So if I scroll back up, Alex has answered it already, but there's a couple of questions around can we stake from our NavPay wallet with cold staking?
Yeah, so from what I understand, no, you can't stake from your NavPay, but potentially with cold staking, does NavPay have a private key import function or only the seed import?
That's the sweep address one, but
That's slightly different, right?
Sweet.
Yeah. So with the current functionality, no, I don't think. So yeah, what we said before was potentially you could have your spending on NavPay and your staking on your NavPi or whatever, right? And yeah, this is potentially possible, but it would require an update to NavPay, right?
Yes.
So we need to have the function where we can generate either import the private key that we've generated elsewhere or export one of the private keys from here as a spending key, basically, right? Is there a private key export?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So no, don't think it's currently possible, but I don't think it would be very hard to add. And when we do cold staking, we can definitely look at adding that because that would be a nice feature. But also don't forget, it's probably not a great idea to walk around with your spending key to all of your staking stash on your mobile phone because it's probably one of the least secure devices that you own. I don't know about you, but my mobile phone, I install all sorts of free apps that have God knows what permissions in them from the Android Play Store. And it's not somewhere where I would recommend storing your main stash of NavCoin. So, you might want to have a small amount there, or I don't know. It's up to you how you manage your security in the end of the day. But, having something called cold staking and then keeping the cold address in the hottest device you own is probably not the best call, in my professional opinion.
Alex is also saying that if the question is if NavPay can spend from a cold staking address, the answer is yes.
Okay.
So there we go. You only need to create a cold staking address and using an address from NavPay as a spending address.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. Cool. There's another question, roughly, it's not so much, but basically people are just asking, sorry, I've just lost the question. Bear with me, people.
One moment, caller.
One moment. It was just around the coins being broken up, really. Alex did answer in the channel, but I thought it was worth stating it.
What do you mean?
Is it beneficial for the network to have lots of small balance wallets, or doesn't matter how it is distributed for security issues?
From what I understand, the wallet is designed to split large balances into lots of 1,000. I can't directly answer the security implications of it, but in terms of, I believe that whether or not this is split into lots of small ones or it's kept like that, in terms of your network weight, it should equal the same thing, right? Because that's really about the amount of coins which are staking. But in terms of how frequently you might get a reward, because each ticket is smaller in terms of its weight, you're going to get rewards less for each of these transactions, but then you'll have more of them. So it effectively should balance out to the same thing at the end of the day as well. But the wallet has optimally set to split it between 1,000. Perhaps that's about as far as I can talk about it. Perhaps Alex might.
Yeah, so again, Alex is just coming in here, guys. He's saying that this security is related with distribution of the coins through different individuals and the amount of nodes. The rest of like the coin sizes is really irrelevant.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more about who has how it's distributed between individuals, right? The more coins are accumulated by one person, the more influence they have over voting on proposals and also voting for, soft forks and voting for consensus changes and all that kind of stuff, or potentially rewriting blocks and whatever. So that is the real goal, is to have wide distribution between individuals and individual nodes, as opposed to necessarily between coins. Effectively, your wallet will just sort it out for you and just let it do its thing.
Yes. And there's just a bit of like almost a security question just coming in, which I can answer. Is basically, recently NavCoin core wallet had updated its version. Is it recommended that I update the wallet version? Yes. Update again after an updated version is in use. I would say just back up your wallet regularly, to be honest with you. You don't necessarily have to.
Well, is the question around updating the wallet or
backing up the wallet? Sorry, I would back up your wallet regularly. Just saves you a lot of pain in the future.
It's always good to have multiple copies of it and stuff like this. You never know if your file gets corrupted from transferring it around or all these types of things.
Yeah.
It depends on your level of paranoia. For me, I do all the paranoid things basically, and before I make any changes to anything, I always back stuff up and do all this kind of thing.
Yeah. And
do regular backups. The keys in your wallet and stuff should be derived, so there's no real requirement to as such from a technical perspective, but just for
and the main thing, if you're going to do that, I would back up your wallet first before you update.
Yeah.
Kind of make sure you're in a safe place before you kind of do any radical changes.
Yeah, and always make sure your wallet is encrypted before backing it up as well. Otherwise, the actual file will have your private keys in plain text. So if you're setting up a wallet for the first time, make sure you encrypt it and then you back up the .dat. Another backup method as well is you can actually, if your staking address is like a single address, you could export your actual private key for that address and record that somewhere securely. And then even if your wallet.dat gets corrupted, then you can just restore that single address and get access to those coins again.
Correct. That's all really so far. Yeah. Any other questions from the community or the room?
I guess probably the last thing I want to just talk about, and if we're talking about updating wallets, is we've just released 4.3.0, right? And that has the what do we do? Open alias, which isn't a consensus change, but is an awesome layer 2 kind of feature. We've got 4.4.0, which we're talking about having a community fund. And the technical upgrade to the contributions, and then increase of CF amount, right? And then we've got 4.5.0, which we're talking about doing the cold staking and static boards. So that's kind of the roadmap, and each of these are individual version bits, whatever they are, and they can be voted on individually. The way that these soft forks are programmed is that they run for 1 year, and if during a 1 week period, any 1 week period during this 1 year, if 75% or more of the blocks signal for any of these upgrades, they become locked in, and then they are then 1 week later live on the network. So we don't have to rush into this. We're happy to have more discussion and more debate around it. And of course, these are just proposals. In the end of the day, we're only suggesting these things. They're obviously things that we recommend doing as the core team, but it's really up to the network to decide how the network wants to operate, because we're not in control from a voting perspective, and nor would we want to be. So this is the kind of runway. We're looking at doing this one in the next couple of weeks, and then this is perhaps 4 weeks or something after that. So if you are keeping an eye on the wallet updates, we do understand that it is going to be a bit of a pain having 3 versions released, within a couple of months of each other, basically. But we have grouped them together so that we're not, releasing individual versions for all of these things. And we kind of tried to logically group them together into updates that make sense. So over the next couple of months, do keep engaged with us, especially if you're a staker, because there's going to be 2 of these upgrades that need to be done if you want to vote for these things. And if you don't agree with any one of them, you will be able to vote yes or no on individual components of these soft forks.
One kind of good question just to finish off is are there any requests from you guys at the moment that you wish or hope the community will pick up and help out with?
Ooh, good question. Not related to this topic.
No.
Well, I don't know. Promote these live stream sessions. I think we've got a couple initiatives going at the moment. The content team's sort of working with people to help create more articles and content and stuff like that. The devs, we're heavily involved in all of this process. If you're interested as a developer, just join us on Discord. This whole project's open source. Effectively, anyone can create a NavCoin improvement proposal and suggest a technical update to the NavCoin protocol and build it and PR it into the code base, and it can get reviewed, and we can do that. In any way, either developers or content creators, there's always basically more things to do than we have time for. Yeah. So please just get in touch, and don't be limited by talking to us either, right? It's actually about individual autonomy, and if it's kind of like walking down the beach and you see a piece of trash on the beach, you've got a decision. You can either do some work and pick it up and take it to a bin, or you can complain about it to the council, right? Yeah. And the council has limited resources, so they may or may not be able to pick up the piece of rubbish. So the best course of action is to just pick up the piece of rubbish, be a tidy Kiwi, as we say here, and get involved. So however you want to contribute, there's no sort of right or wrong way. It's all right, and it's all about being the change that you want to see, basically. That's my inspirational jam for the day.
Cool.
Is that it? Any more questions?
That's it. Well,
join us on Discord, join us on Reddit, subscribe to this channel, and do all those things. And we will see you at the next one of these, I guess. Peace.
End.